and welcome to this special show to mark Women's Entrepreneurship Day. Hopefully, there will be a time in the future where we won't need separate days to celebrate women or women entrepreneurship. But till the time we reach that level of gender diversity, this is an occasion to celebrate, empower, and support women in business. As part of our Leap to Unicorn initiative for startups, presented by IDFC First Bank in association with Money Control in CNBC TV 18, it gives us absolute pleasure to bring you a candid conversation that will shine a light on the key challenges that women entrepreneurs face and how they can navigate these to script a success story. Our guest is someone who has been there and done that. Ghazal Alag, the co founder of a profitable unicorn, Mama Earth. Founded in 2016 by husband wife duo Varun and Ghazal Alag, Mama Earth has emerged as one of the hottest new age consumer brands in India, riding the direct to consumer wave, where brands sell directly to consumers from their websites or via e commerce platforms or even offline stores. It offers toxin free natural products, including bamboo based wipes, face masks, lotion, and hair care products. It's also planning an IPO next year with ambitions of becoming a house of brands and expanding overseas. Ghazal, thank you so much for joining us on this special interview on the occasion of Women Entrepreneurship Day. I want to start by asking you, as far as your own entrepreneurship journey is concerned, was it serendipity or something that you always wanted to do?
I think my entrepreneurial journey started much earlier than Mama Earth, so I would not call it serendipity. I think I had been trying hard for a long time. Before Mama Earth, I had two startups which did not work out as well, and eventually landed up on this opportunity, which was largely started because of a personal problem. My son is the reason why we started Mama Earth. And I think the purpose was so strong that giving up was not an option here in this case, at least. And that is what led us to our journey.
Right. And take us through the initial challenges and how you confronted them. Because Ghazal, when you started up Mama Earth, D2C wasn't even a catchphrase like it has become in the last few years. And you have sort of defined the direct to consumer wave in India. But what was it like in the initial days and how did you confront these challenges?
I think initial days for any entrepreneur are extremely challenging, and it was exactly the same for us as well. When we were starting out, the first thing is being taken seriously about what you want to do, and that did not happen, be it family, be it friends, or the investors, so to say. It's a vision in your head that you're trying to sell, but for others to be able to see that vision, it actually takes a lot of time and effort. So we did go through that whole journey. I think even from a proposition point of view, like you said, D2C was fairly new. And we went online, not so much as an option, but possibly the only way that we had back then. Offline was fairly complicated, expensive. People would not be okay keeping a new brand in store because, hey, they don't know if it'll sell or not, and hence we said online is the way to go. That's how we started selling in December of 2016 by adopting Amazon as a platform. um, I think we did not have our own website for the first 6 months of a journey. Only after figuring out that online brings in so many advantages. There are no geographical boundaries. You're not limiting yourselves to just tier one audience, but anybody who has aspiration to buy good quality products can buy it through that one platform, and you don't have to have offices at so many places, which we could not afford back then. So I think some of those levers and some of those advantages is what led us to choose as online and direct to consumer as our strategy. And it worked really well. There were a lot of challenges, be it from consumer understanding point of view of the concept. While we were talking about no toxins, we started from a place where people did not know the word toxins, or they did not know
Yeah.
what a sulfate and paraben was. And we started by educating them around that. From an investor point of view, where being taken seriously was initially a challenge, and you had to sell your vision and what you had in mind from a larger ecosystem point of view, and how would you win the market. From a partner's point of view, where nobody would be willing to create products for you or let you inside the factory, because they were like, the ingredients that you're talking about nobody else uses, why should we invest so much in you? So I think there were a lot of challenges, but the only word that was our favorite was figure outable. We worked really hard. We paved some path for ourselves.
Right. And did it help having your life partner as your co-founder?
I think that was the best decision that I took back then. See, when you convince your husband to be your co-founder, um, they are the persons who will like open everything up like a mirror in front of you and tell you about the all the pros and all the cons, right? And when the two of you are coming together, we literally put all our baskets in one egg. There was no fallback plan. We had left the comfort of our jobs, and starting up and having a co-founder, you need a lot of trust on the other person to be able to build something with him or her. And I don't think I could have had a better co-founder than Varun. And we were literally sleeping, eating, drinking this company together. And the kind of commitment that helped us bring to the table was another level. I think I was missing that in the first two startups where I failed.
But Ghazal, were there some specific factors, or challenges coming from a woman entrepreneur perspective? Because if you look at the statistics, it said that women founders find it far more difficult to attract funding. A lot of VC funding, the way it works, it's also a boys' club, so to speak. So, did you face those kind of questions, that form of resistance?
So I think I wouldn't say that journey was easy in any way. I think back then in 2015, 16, times were still tougher. We had to prove ourselves a lot more. Today, it's much better. But I did get across questions, like, and I mean, just starting on, right? We both of us had left our full-time jobs. I was working from home. I was a young mother. I could not afford a nanny. There were times when I was holding Agastya in one hand and call on the other, trying to have a conversation, and the kid in between would cry, right? And I heard comments like, आप पहले बच्चा संभाल लो, बिजनेस की बात हम बाद में करेंगे. Or stuff like, it was overwhelming. I remember nights and nights where I cried myself to sleep because I just felt I couldn't do it. Either I can take care of the baby or I can work. But again, Chandra, I think the reason why we were doing some of the, starting Mama Earth, launching toxic free products in India was so strong, that this could not keep me down. And very early on, I had team members who left the organization because they said Ghazal doesn't have experience and we don't think she can add value back to us. And that is where I literally started from, because see, it was not wrong. I did not have, but what they did not know back then was that I was a fighter. I would have learned, I will figure it out, and I did that, right? Those people are now coming back saying, can we get back into Mama Earth? And so literally started with those kind of problems. But I think if you're very sure that you have to get this right, you have to do this. And we gave ourselves 1 year's time. I gave myself 1 year time, that if it works out, great. If it doesn't, I will fall back to my regular job. And I was an artist. I was selling nationally, internationally. So that was my fallback plan. But eventually things did work out, and I think the efforts that we put in were in the right direction.
So, Ghazal, I was asking you that, you give a very poignant account of how you had to balance your child and calls to potential clients and investors, and how they said, first take care of your child and then take care of your business. How did you cope with guilt during these times? Because I've noticed Guilt really drags down women founders, women executives. So, how did you cope with the feeling of guilt during these times?
Yeah, I think you rightly said that guilt plays a very, very major role, especially when you're just starting out. I went through that guilt myself. There were precisely three different kind of guilts that I can remember. One was a mom guilt because you were taking time away from your child and giving it to business. And there were times when you had to prioritize one over the other, right? There was an entrepreneur guilt because sometimes the kid would fall sick, you would spend disproportionate time there and not at work. And third was a family guilt because, hey, for the first 1.5, 2 years, we did not have any time for the family, right? So there are a lot of guilts, but I think the only way to look at it um, is to identify your priorities for that time. I still remember I used to prioritize not just from a yearly basis, but from a daily, weekly, monthly basis. I still do that. And I say, hey, this is most important for now, and let me take care of this particular thing. And I will eventually, ensure that over time I am giving equal amount of time to my family, to my kids, to my work, and that really worked. Guilt just pulls you down. It's not the right thing to carry along. It's a lot of burden on yourselves, and I think women especially should keep that baggage off. We don't need it, to be very honest.
Ghazal, but have things gotten better for women entrepreneurs? What more needs to be done from an ecosystem perspective?
I think from an ecosystem perspective, the startup ecosystem is definitely evolving. It's getting better. Even from women, a decade back, the things which seemed really difficult are now falling into place, be it taking women seriously, be it leading by examples like a Falguni has done, or even Indra Nui sets the right kind of example, right? We have role models to look up to and say that if they can do it, we can also try and we can also do it. Other than that, I think, you know, compared to the number of startups 10 years back to now, which are being led by women or have women in the leadership roles, that number is definitely going up. And hence, I would say we are moving in the right directions. I would love to see more women starting up, more women coming to the forefront, leading the charge. And, as we all know, that. India has the potential to be the third largest economy by GDP, and women will have a very, very important role to play there.
I'm curious about who your role models are as an entrepreneur.
I think I I pick up my role models from people around me who I can take any inspiration from, right? I don't think that there are only certain set of people who can inspire you. My mother inspires me a lot. People who I work with at Honasa inspire me a lot. We have young talent building brands for us, and I take inspiration from them, the kind of courage that they have to take on some of these challenges is really, and apart from that, like I said, Falguni is leading the charge. The way she has taken care of her business, her family, created value for herself, I think that sets the right example. And um, you know I would love to take whatever I can from each of these women out there.
Women traditionally, I think Sheryl Sandberg also said this, they find it hard to assert themselves, to ask for what they deserve, whether it's pay, whether it's power, whether it's position. Do you see that changing?
I do see that changing, and changing for the better, I would say. Even when I started out, I would, not shy away from committing that I was not as assertive. It took me some time to identify what I was capable of, and hence, uh, own up, uh, own it up for myself. But I see there's a positive change. The people that I work with are being more assertive. They are very open about discussing whatever discomforts they have. They are aware of what's happening, and they do not look on themselves as somebody who's not as aggressive or as capable as their male counterparts. So that the thing is definitely changing. But yes, as we set more examples, as we bring more women and talk about them by examples, by seeing their journey. I'm very sure that more women will get inspired, and they are going to identify the power that they have in terms of changing the lifestyle for themselves, leading from the front, being there in leadership positions and growing. I mean, there's just, they're going to break the glass ceiling very soon. I I'm very hopeful of that.
I want to understand what your own North Star is. What kept you going during the difficult times? You mentioned that, people underestimated you or undermined you initially, but what they did not know is your fighting spirit, the will to just go on and on and on. But what kept you going?
I think, Chandra, early on, I had this one favorite word, which was figure outable, right? I think it's very important to be self aware. I was aware that I might not have the right kind of degrees or the industry experience that this role required, but I was also very sure that if I put my time and energy into something, and I went by the rule of 10,000 hours, that if you spend 10,000 hours doing anything, you are going to master it for yourself. And that's what I did. So figure outable is the philosophy that I went by, and anything which needed to be solved, learned, figured out for us to help us in our business, I think I just went all guns blazing behind that, and tried to do my best. And until date, I think it worked decently.
My final question to you, Ghazal. One thing that Indra Nui has often said is that the career clock is often at conflict with the biological clock. But when I look at you, touch wood, you seem to have had it all. You have a family, you have a thriving career. You're also very active on Instagram. Sometimes I wonder, how does Ghazal manage to do all these things at the same time? Does she have 48 hours in a day? But what would your advice be to aspiring women founders, women entrepreneurs? The fact that they can have it all.
See, you've put that very kindly, I would say. But I figured it out by doing all of it, right? By identifying what is it that I don't want to give up. And I think entrepreneurship is hard. It's a lonely journey. There is no point trying to build something or be successful if you can't enjoy life. And that's the mantra that I live with. To all the women out there, one, I would say that having a work life and having a good life back at home is possible. I don't think there's any balance that exists on a daily basis, but yes, you can identify your balancing levers on a monthly, on a yearly basis, and that worked really well for me. Second thing that has worked well for me is, I think, calendarization. We often put all of our personal commitments into the calendar, but how often do we put we often put work commitments onto our calendar, but we forget to put the personal commitments. And all said and done, even the personal commitments are fairly important. So I think that really helped. And when you allocate time to certain activities and ensure that you're respecting the time that you've allotted and getting stuff done there, is when you'll realize that you're actually able to get a few extra hours in your day. And that then gives you that choice of using it, be it with your kids, be it having some kind of fun, etc. But hey, one life, it's important to enjoy it while you're building something big, while you're onto that journey. So I think that would be my advice, that first, believe that you can have it all, and second, just use calendar. That's my best tool, and I'm very sure that it could be other people's best tool as well.
That was such an energizing and inspiring interview for me personally, and I'm sure for all our viewers, listeners, readers, wherever they are. Thank you again for talking to us on the occasion of Women Entrepreneurship Day.
Hey, thank you, Chandra, thank you for having me.